Today's video is not sponsored. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. To get started on this headband, here are some of the basic materials that you'll need to get started. For this headband, I'll be using a number 3 or DK weight yarn, and this is the Universal Yarn Noel line. And this skein is in the shade Pixie. I love it because it has these maroon and pink shades, and it also has a nice hint of glitter here inside the yarn. And like I said, this is a number 3 lightweight yarn. If you guys would like, you can use a number 4 worsted weight, but I just really love this yarn and I think that it is gorgeous for this type of accessory. I'm also using a 4.5mm hook, but again, if you guys are using worsted weight yarn, go ahead and size your hook up a notch or two. And then lastly, of course, I will be using a darning needle at the end to sew together the headband. So let's go ahead and dive right on into this tutorial. Alright, to begin, I'm going to go ahead and pull my yarn off of my skein. Oh my gosh, this yarn is absolutely stunning. Can you guys see that metallic inside? But anyways, let's just go ahead and get started with our slip knot. So I'm creating my slip knot. I'm going to go ahead and insert my 4.5mm hook and pull tight. And now from here, to create our base chain, you are going to chain the correct amount that can wrap around your head nice and snug. And I know for each and every person, this measurement will vary a little bit, so I will be making this headband geared towards a size small head. I've quickly just used a measuring tape to measure the width of my head, and I've come up with the number 20 inches, so I will create a chain that is 20 inches long. And since I'll be making this headband for a size small head, I will begin with a chain of 72. Alright, so I've gone ahead and worked up my chain of 72, and as you guys can see here, it does safely stretch to my 20-inch marker. Keep in mind, you don't want to really tug on this chain too much. You just want your headband to have a little bit of stretch, and my 72 chains do reach that 20-inch marker. So now we can begin working on row 1. Alright, to begin working on row 1 of the headband, I am going to chain one more for turning because I am working with a half double crochet for this entire pattern. So for row 1 here, I've already chained my 1, and I'm going to skip that very first chain and work my very first half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So again, I'm skipping that first chain, finding the second one, and placing my half double just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys in nice and close just to show you guys, in case you don't already know how to work a half double crochet. I'm going to yarn over and find my very next stitch, which is right here. I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. So now you should have 3 loops on your hook. Now I can yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And there is my second half double crochet. So for the rest of row 1, I'm just going to continue to place 1 half double crochet into every single chain. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of row 1, and I will meet you back at the end when you have 72 half double crochet. Alright, so I've just finished up here at the end of row 1, and this is what my beginning first row looks like. It's so stunning. Can you guys see that shift in like purple and even like magenta? Ugh, so stunning. Alright, so from this point, I'm going to go ahead and start row 2. So to start row 2, I am going to chain 1 like always because I am working with those half double crochets, and now I can turn my work. And now for row 2 and the rest of this pattern, I will be working in the back loop only, just to help me create a ribbed pattern here. So I'm going to continue with those half double crochets. I'm going to yarn over, find the very first stitch in the row, which is right here, and insert my hook into that back loop only. Go ahead and pull up a loop, and with 3 on, yarn over and finish out your half double crochet. And again, yarning over, finding the next stitch in the row, and I'm only picking up this back loop and work a half double crochet. And that's seriously all that there is to this pattern. So I'm just going to continue to work those back loop only half double crochets for this entire row. And real quickly, just to clarify that back loop only, normally when you insert your hook at the very top of your stitch, you do go through both of those top loops. So as you guys can see here, I do have the front loop and the back loop attached onto my hook, but instead of picking up both of those loops, I'm going to disregard the front one and only pick up that back loop. So you should only have one little yarn strand there on your hook, and then go ahead and finish out your half double crochet. So hopefully you guys can see that when you work through the back loop only and you disregard that front loop, it does pop out and give you just a little bit of this ribbed texture. And this is what the back side of the headband looks like. And really quickly, now that I'm coming up here to the very end of my row 2, I just want to clarify that for this very last stitch in the row, I am going to be working through both of those top loops. Just because it's the edge of the work, I don't want to pick up just that back loop and have it look a little bit empty there. So I am going to pick up the front and that back loop and work a regular half double crochet. So now to go ahead and start row 3, I am going to chain 1 and turn my work. And for row 3, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same steps from row 2. So I am going to work into the back loop only for the entire row. And then once I have that very last and final stitch in the row, I will be working a regular half double crochet through both the top loops. So I'm just going to continue to work my way down row 3 and just pick up that back loop only. So I've gone ahead and finished up row 3 of the headband, and this is what it's looking like so far. Hopefully you guys can see a little bit of that ribbed texture there. But now for the rest of the headband, you can just add as many rows as you would like. Of course, you can add as many rows to your liking. So if you want your headband to be a little bit thinner, don't add as many rows. But if you're looking to make your headband something kind of like this, a little bit more of like ear warmers, I am just pulling out a separate one that I have made in the past. But as you guys can see here, I added enough rows until it reached about 4 inches wide. So I'm gonna go for about the same look, and I will continue to add on rows until my headband can reach a thickness of about 4 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead, continue on here with row 4, and I will meet you back when I have most of my headband completed. And again, just to clarify, the rest of this headband is worked just the same as row number 2. I am just working half double crochets into that back loop only. This pattern is super quick, super easy, perfect for beginners because the pattern does not change. You don't have to add any crazy stitches. There are no increases in this pattern and there are no decreases. All right guys, so I'm back, and as you can see, I have finished working up the basis of my headband. So I did decide to go for a total of 8 rows with those half double crochets, and I am going to stop here. And earlier I did state that I was going to work until my headband was about 4 inches long, but after kind of sizing this up on my head, I have decided that this is a pretty good spot to stop at. But like I said, I worked up the 8 rows in total, and this does get me to a total of 3 inches wide on the headband. So this is where I'm going to go for my small sized head. All right, so here after my very last stitch, I am going to pull out and leave a good amount of a tail because we are going to use this tail to weave together our 2 side seams. So really quickly here at the end of my 8th row, I am just going to pull through my loop and tie off a knot right there. So now my 8th row is completed, and now it's time to show you guys how to connect this headband to give you that X stitch pattern in the front. All right, so at this point, there are 2 different ways that you can attach your headband to finish it up. If you guys would like just a regular looking headband, very simplistic style, you can just stitch together your 2 short ends here and weave together your end to stitch up that center seam. But because I am going to go for more of a fancy festive type of decoration here, I am going to go for that little X seam in the very front of our headband. All right, so to go ahead and show you guys how I get that cute little X seam in the very front of our headband here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take this first short end and pinch it in half like so. And now likewise with the other side, I'm going to repeat that same folding technique. So now I've just folded my little rectangle here and pinched the two ends. And here at this point is where we're essentially going to sandwich the two halves together like so. I'm just taking these two creased corners and overlap them just like that. So now with this super long tail, I'm gonna go ahead and attach my darning needle, and I'm just going to weave my darning needle back and forth through all 4 panels just a few times to secure it nice and tight. All right, so I've got my little darning needle attached here. Let's go ahead and fold our 2 halves again, just like so. And now I'm gonna go ahead and sandwich them in between each other. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start weaving my needle through right here where my yarn is attached. So I'm just going to slip this all the way along this top edge right here. Go ahead and pull tight. And now we're gonna go back through this side. So I'm just gonna move like 1 centimeter over, push through all 4 of those layers, and come out right here on this top edge, staying as close to the edge as possible. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and bob and weave a few more times. And I'm just placing my darning needle about 1 or 2 centimeters away from where my yarn came out. Pull it all the way through, nice and tight. And again, find a spot 1 or 2 centimeters away and work through all 4 of those layers. And now that I'm here at the very edge of my work, I'm just going to go ahead and weave this back through the direction that we came from, just to secure it one more time. And now that our yarn is on the panel facing me, I'm just gonna go ahead and find a cute little edge here for me to loop through my yarn. And right before I pull this through, I am just going to make a little loop, insert my embroidery needle, and tie off a little knot here at the edge of my work. So now at this point you can cut your yarn. I am just going to push my needle through a few more times just to weave in my end. So now here I can go ahead and cut my yarn. All right, so now that we have that center all stitched up, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick up this tail end here, weave it through a few times just to hide in this tail. All right, so now that we have everything all stitched together at the seam, right here I am looking at the wrong side of the headband. And if I go ahead and flip it to the right side, you now have a cute little X seam here at the very front of your headband or your ear warmers. So I like this little extra step, just a cute little technique to knock up your work just a little bit and give it a little bit more of a feminine touch. And oh my gosh, just look at all these beautiful colors with this yarn. I'm so happy with how this turned out. And thank you guys so much for watching.